Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about behaviors and consequences. Around age 1 or 2, your child may start having outbursts when they are not getting what they want. And that's because they're expressing themselves, they are having the opportunity to get your attention and to let you know what they're interested in and what they're not interested in. And so if you are raising a young child by yourself or with a partner, I encourage you to set some boundaries. So understand if it's just you, what limits you're allowing and what you're not going to allow. And then if you're working with a partner, discuss and come to an agreement on what you guys both are going to allow and what you're not going to allow. And so when you're working with a child on behavior, make sure you're prepared. You might not expect all the time when they act out, but it is a good thing we're having this talk today because they are definitely trying to see how much you're going to give. The child is always looking for your boundaries. And so that's really where we start, is setting boundaries. Some other reasons they might be having outbursts is because they're imitating something they've seen on television or something they've seen at school or something they've even seen you do before. When they're testing your limits, they are also going to be looking for if they're having a consequence for testing those limits. And if you've set rules and made those clear to the child, they want to know what's going to happen if they break that. So that's why you need to always be consistent with your consequences that you give, because if a child thinks they might be able to get away with something, they're going to be more tempted to try it and more tempted to try it more often. So occupational therapists can get involved with behaviors, and that is what we are here to help you with here at More Pediatrics. Occasionally a child will push their sibling down or do what their parents tell them not to do. But if it becomes a daily or multiple times a day occasion, you might want to talk to your occupational therapist. If a child is physically fighting and attacking other kids and adults, frequently becoming angry or losing their temper, performing poorly in school, can't sit still, just is not listening to the teacher, becomes frustrated easily or argumentative, fighting with family members and people who really just want the best for them. They might also have difficulty with authority and making friends. So there are 3 types of discipline. The first is preventative discipline, and that is establishing those rules, just like we talked about before. So having boundaries, setting the rules, and letting the child know this is what it's going to happen if you don't follow the directions, or this is what's going to happen if XYZ. So make sure you're verbalizing the consequences of bad behavior, but also giving rewards for good behavior, making sure that the rules are the same for everyone, and that whoever's involved in that relationship understands those rules the same. Supportive discipline means that measures are taken when the rules are broken. So we always remind the child of what rule they're breaking, give them a verbal warning if they need 1 or 2 warnings, and also nonverbal warnings. One that we like to use is stop, and we just do that by putting our hand right here. That is the sign language for stop, whatever they're doing, and that, gives the child a visual of, they have to take a second and think and process if they want to continue the action that they're doing. The next one is corrective discipline. So verbal altercations often occur in corrective discipline. It is when the child is being disruptive and maybe you've put them in timeout at that point and they are just acting a little rebellious, not wanting to sit there. They start maybe mouthing back to you. And this is when we escalate the situation to further consequences. And if you are the child's caretaker, nanny, babysitter, that is when you call the parents in. And if you're the child's parent, that is when you say, these are the consequences we're up to now. And then you have backup plans, okay? If that first consequence is not working for the child, what is really going to be effective in disciplining the child? So some different behaviors and consequences that I wanted to cover. First, I need to define what a consequence is. And a consequence is something that happens as a result of your child behaving in a particular way. A consequence can be positive or negative, and positive consequences reinforce behavior and make it more likely to happen again. So if you do like the way that your child is putting away the dishes or taking out the trash, we might consider doing a positive consequence. So they get to go to ice cream that weekend or whatever it is for your family. Negative consequences make sure that the behaviors are less likely to happen again. And so this is where we might take a toy away from the child that is misusing it, or they have an opportunity to change their behavior in that moment, but you can prevent or encourage that behavior from happening again or not.